I've waited a little while to make another video about what happened in Southport because the first priority and the first concern in such an incident, such an atrocity, must be one of mourning and complete concern for the families and victims involved. But what we are now beginning to learn through details released by and through the media's coverage of the court case itself, and many details were actually withheld from the public and not released because the suspect entered a guilty plea. But what we have learnt is a story of a systemic failure and systemic cover-up on two fronts. The first being that the Prevent Terror watchdog, which seeks to capture suspects, potential terror suspects early on, is no longer fit for purpose. They have now missed 4 terror suspects that were on their watch list who went on to commit serious terror offences. And the second element of systemic failure is one where the CPS told the actual police authorities not to release information about the suspect because they feared that it would contribute to racial tensions locally and across the nation. But I would actually contend that this lack of information actually contributed and worsened some of the riots we saw over the summer. There was essentially a vacuum whereby the public felt they weren't getting the truth, and generally the British public is pretty accepting of the truth, whatever it may be, as long as they feel they are getting the truth and the whole truth, which they weren't, essentially, we now know. And so this vacuum of misinformation and disinformation, I would say, actually led to people to conspire themselves and make theories themselves that actually contributed to some of the riots and disinformation we saw. Now we learn that there is going to be an inquiry into the Southport scandal, the Southport murders. First of all, I just wonder and fear how long this is going to take, perhaps 6 or 7 years. And I find it, what's most significant, I find it quite ironic because Keir Starmer was, of course, reluctant to have a full, proper national inquiry into the grooming gang scandal because he said it would take too long, yet he's happy to have one into this Southport murder scandal. So it's all still doesn't fully add up to me.